When it comes to training health and safety to workers, it is clear that some methods are more effective than others. Simply reading lists of rules and punishments from management like commandments are not the way to proceed, as this creates resentment, so procedures are less likely to be observed. With our training in creating powerful and useful health and safety training videos, we know that the behavioral safety path is the best to capture the hearts and minds of workers who will willingly put into action what they'll learn. As we've detailed in a previous presentation, 5 main elements make up a fully engaging and effective safety film. The films need to be professional, relevant to the trainees, with a non-patronizing tone. Entertaining as well, if appropriate, with specific situations or case studies to reinforce the learning points. We have produced safety training films for a wide range of organizations, but would like to show short excerpts from one of the Lafarge projects, where we produced a 6-chapter DVD for all their training centers based on VFL, or Visible Felt Leadership. The first chapter includes various short clips from staff at the sharp end discussing the problems and the importance of the system.
I think there's been a great commitment from everybody within the organisation. I see the biggest challenge in driving down the responsibility of safety and safety behaviour to everybody within the organisation, and specifically with our contracting companies.
Lafarge's commitment to managing safety is very important. For 20-30 years we've been preaching to our people that production and cost is the key drivers, and whilst they're important, we've got to get the message across that it's okay to stop the work and the activities they're undertaking and to take those 2 or 3 seconds to consider the safety consequences of what they're doing.
We then go on to discuss the importance of good communications in the workplace. Then we explain basic safety theory, such as Heinrich's triangle, in a friendly and accessible way.
For example, say you cross the road each day without much care. Say you're always listening to your iPod in a world of your own. The odds say that generally you'll get away with it. But over 330 crossings, or over a year if you cross once a day, you'll have 30 incidents where you're near missed, and will probably be involved in one serious incident. The hazard spotting footage that comes with this package is full of the bottom of the triangle behaviours.
A classic example of that would be an oil rig. About 50% of all LTIs on oil platforms are caused by people falling down the stairs. Often that's caused by not holding the handrail. Now, if those stairs are used 1 million times a year, and the actual percentage chance of you breaking your neck is something like 100,000 to 1, if they're used 1 million times a year, then you're looking at 10 accidents if nobody holds the handrail. If you can get 90% to hold the handrail, then you're looking at 1 accident a year, give or take. And if you can get 99% to hold the handrail, you're looking at 1 accident every 10 years, give or take.
The first chapter concludes addressing what a good safety culture is and how it can be maintained.
You may be familiar with a situation where somebody has taken off their hat briefly and, as fate would have it, up above somebody has kicked a scaffold clip or a brick because they're rushing or can't see their feet because they're carrying something. It's stopped by the toe board. They look over and say, that could have been nasty, before going on their way. What you didn't know was that without the toe board, you'd be dead. So, as well as leadership and decision-making, which we'll address in other chapters, in essence, a safety culture is made up of hundreds of daily behaviours like housekeeping, personal protective equipment, looking in the direction of travel,
and so on. And with this data, you have now got accurate information to put together an indicator to see the danger for the future. This is the lead indicator.
In Chapter 2, we look at observation and what, in fact, a safety manager or supervisor is actually looking for. We then go into the psychology of basic human temptations to discover why people break safety rules.
What you find is that everything we do has a trigger. The phone rings, training, rules, supervision and so on. But everything we do also has a consequence. And it's the consequence that's particularly important. Consequences can be 3 things. They can be soon or delayed, certain or uncertain, positive or negative. And soon, certain and positive consequences have a really powerful determinant of our behaviour.
Such as eating something nice, drinking booze, smoking, sex, and so on.
They all give soon, certain and positive consequences, and that's really powerful and motivating.
Consequences that are delayed, uncertain and negative may well be important, but are often far less influential on a given day. So sticking with those temptations, we're talking about things like diabetes and liver disease, cancer and sexual diseases. The trouble is that most of us yield to positive temptations and let the long-term consequences take care of themselves.
As Stephen Fry says, the thing I do with temptation is I yield to it as quickly as possible to stop faffing around. And that's true of all of us. It's the temptations that really drive a lot of our behaviour.
The why of safety is explored further when the 5 whys technique is explored.
5 whys is a basic technique you can use if you see an unsafe act or condition. Don't assume it's anything but a symptom of a more underlying problem. You can check this by asking why.
Then when you have an answer, if the why question stands asking a second time, you say, why?
And you keep going until it becomes pointless. This is usually about 5 times, hence 5 whys.
Excuse me, why aren't you wearing any gloves?
Because they don't fit.
Well, why don't they fit?
Because they're too small.
Well, why are they too small?
Because they're medium and I have large hands.
Right, well, why don't you get some large gloves?
Because this flipping company only provide medium ones.
Well, why do they only provide medium ones?
At this point, you may need to contact stores where they tell you that it's several £100s a year cheaper to buy just one size of gloves than buy them in different sizes. Now, you could ask why do they want to save money, but that would be an example of a pointless question.
In Chapter 3, we focus on active monitoring of staff, including challenging, modelling and communicating about safety. The key part of this section is looking at why staff sometimes see someone else doing an unsafe act and ignoring it, often because they're not quite sure how the other person may react.
Hey, why the hell are you using a spanner as a hammer? Excuse me? Excuse me? Why on earth are you using a spanner as a hammer? It's ridiculous, this sort of thing. I mean, all the training that we've gone, you know.
Oh, this is just what I need. Some management person sticking his nose in. Why doesn't he go away?
Keep people safe, and how are we supposed to keep a record? Excuse me? Can you tell me why you're using a spanner as a hammer?
Dunno.
Well, you know it's not the right tool for the job, but you're going to get the correct one, please.
Yeah.
Right, thank you.
But it's the thought that they might be thinking they'd like to respond that way that inhibits us. So the easy thing to do is this.
The chapter then goes into how to be assertive without being aggressive.
Hey, donkey brain, are you the most stupid man on the planet? You really do my head in. Excuse me, I need to talk to you about your lack of PPE. To be honest, I'm really concerned about the personal safety risk you're running, and to be honest, it's really disappointing, especially after all the training you've had. Why aren't you wearing your PPE?
I don't know, I'm sorry, you're right.
Thank you.
In the first case, the chap on the receiving end isn't thinking about their risk. They're thinking about you. And they're going to be talking about you over coffee later. You've given them a perfect excuse not to focus on the risk they were running.
Chapter 4 explores the visible felt leadership system. This is where safety is, as the title says, visible and felt. It means interacting with people and asking people about their specific concerns in the workplace. It also covers techniques to ensure improvements get done and agreed to.
There can be a disparity between the results gained from interactive audits around our sites, and I think the key to it is the VFL, visible felt leadership. In order for them to have value, then it's got to involve people who are actually carrying out tasks.
We must make every effort to understand what people do and the activities they're performing to establish the safest method of controlling that activity. It's very important to approach people correctly so they don't become defensive, because we need to identify the true method by which they undertake tasks, and thereby we can address any unsafe features of those tasks.
Our comedy actors show the wrong and right ways of asking a supervisor to buy into a new proposal.
So you look at the barriers, the signs, the driver training, the one-way systems, all the issues in the report.
Absolutely.
And you agree there's some good ideas in there?
Some great ideas here, you've done a great job, and as soon as I've got some proper time, I'm really going to look at digesting this, and then we're going to get a window in the diary, get a committee together, and look at driving this forward.
Well, can we action plan that then? Maybe set up some sort of timescale?
No need, mate. Job done. Well done. You've done a great job. Really good. Hope the wife's all right.
Well, she left me.
Brilliant. Okay, superb. Have a great weekend. Well done. Cheers. Bloody hell.
Now, we know that capital projects can be frustrating and time-consuming to set up, and we all get so focused on the day-to-day realities that we're tempted to delay addressing the long-term issues. The psychology of giving into temptation was explained in Chapter 1, but we shouldn't allow ourselves to accept positive but vague open-ended responses.
Let's revisit our last scene and see how that can develop to a positive conclusion.
So you look at the barriers, the signs, the driver training, the one-way systems, all the issues in the report, yeah? And you agree there's some good ideas in there?
Some great ideas in here. Well done. You've done a great job. As soon as I've got some proper time, really going to digest this, and then we're going to get a committee together and look at driving this forward. Well done.
No, actually, Rob, I'd really like to turn this into a more of a formal action plan, you know, take some specific actions.
Okay.
With individual responsibilities designated and key outcomes defined, you know, some timescales. We'll make sure the timescales are reasonable, of course, and then agree a date. I can pop back and see how you're doing. Right, so I'll see you on the 28th of next month.
Yeah.
And you will call me, won't you, if there's any problems, anything I can help out with in the meantime?
Yeah, I'll give you a ring.
All right, good, thanks a lot.
All right, cheers. Steve, got a job for you, mate.
Now, it might be that a problem with a contractor seems too big to tackle at site level, and this sort of local SMART resolution isn't really possible. SMART stands for specific, measurable, agreed, realistic and time set.
The DVD also contains an observation exercise film where physical hazards have to be spotted first time round, and these are then captioned on the second showing. There is also a fun Lafarge version of the famous basketball observation test, where viewers have to carefully count the ball passes, and most people totally ignore the gorilla. Have you got a gorilla in your workplace? We hope you found these excerpts helpful. Please contact us for more information as to how to make safety training engaging and effective by using the power of video.